Welcome to Prison Politics and These Walls Talk. My name is Charles Caldwell, and my heart told me to come on today. How's everybody doing out there in the community? Uh, how's everybody family doing? I hope well. I hope everyone is blessed, highly favored, and doing well. I came on this morning because I'm coming on this morning. I'm coming strong, bragging on Mary Moriarty. She is a blessing to the community, a blessing to the people, a blessing to our children. Praise God. Hallelujah. Mary Moriarty is God sent for nobody. God would have to speak out and have you tell me that. This woman been doing her job. She's been doing everything that she said that she was going to do when she ran for county attorney and more. She's done everything she said she's going to do and more. Um, I I'm going to yeah, I just want to share with you guys all the things that Mary has done. She's been a voice for our community. She's been a voice for our family. She's been a voice for our children. She's been a voice for our youth. Um, Man, this is what this podcast is about. If you have everybody has a voice, and our voice needs to be heard. And Mary is using her voice. Uh, Things have changed so much for the better in our community. Not only in our community, with our families, with our children, with our youth. And Mary's she's just man, she's amazing. She's just bringing so many things to our community, to our family, to our youth, to the system, to society. I mean, this woman is something else, guys. You guys know, and what's so amazing about her? She's uh she's a great supporter, and she don't talk about okay, like okay, an example when Mary was running for office. Her speeches would be about what needs to be done in our community, what needs to be done in our city, what needs to be done with our youth, what needs to be done in the system. She was talking about it, and mostly politicians, when they run for a position, that's what they do. They get up there and they talk about what needs to be done. They get up there and they talk about we gotta stop that. Put that on hold. They get up there and they talk about their speech be about, well, if I win, when I get in there, I'm gonna stop crime. I'm gonna prevent crime. I'm gonna stop massive incarceration, or I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna do this. As soon as they get in there, they don't do jack shit. Okay. And I'm not going to point the fingers because everybody know who gets up there and say their little speech and talk about what they're going to do and how they're going to help, and they don't do it. Mary Moriarty, she got up there and talked about what needs to be done in the community, and her speech was about what she's going to do. She did it and more. She kept her word. What politician can you say that ever gotten in, especially the county attorney office, and kept their word? Mike Freeman didn't do jack shit when he was up there. He didn't do nothing for our community. He didn't do nothing for our youth. He didn't prevent crime. He didn't do nothing. And he was in there for a long time. And that's why I know Mary is God sent, because this is something we've been longing for. This is something our community and the system been longing for. You know, uh, excuse me, she speaks the truth. Um, she speaks about how the system does not support the community, like the policemen. You have policemen that's working in the neighborhood, right? And they know our children's, they know their behavior, they know what they're capable of doing. And the policemen know this because this is their job. They're here in our community. They're supposed to be part of our community. They know this, but instead of them reaching out to that child's or that youth family or parent and coming together with the family, the youth and their parent, and seeking support and help to prevent them from committing crimes and prevent them from being incarcerated. Before Mary got these programs going on, I'm gonna be honest, it was just the opposite. If the policeman was coming to our community every day and they know our children's and they know what their behaviors are, they know their bad behaviors and they know what they're capable of doing, instead of them trying to help them or their parent or seek for support and help, they would plot and plan. They would say, that's so and so. Yeah, he does this, he does that. Yeah, that's all right. We're going to get him. We're going to get him. We're going to set up, we're going to plot and plan where we can grab him, take him to jail, and he can be convicted and sent to prison for life or sent to prison for 20 years, which was devastating to their youth and their family and the community. And this went on for years. I know I experienced it. I experienced it with my son who's in prison. This is why, if you ask me, this is why he is in prison, because he didn't kill no one. He didn't commit a crime. He was driving when a crime was committed, but he didn't commit a crime. And he was set up, the policemen, back then, and he's been in there for 18 years. They used to tell me, we're going to get, because whenever they pull him over, he'd call, Mom, the police got me pulled over, and I'll hop in my car and I'll go, and I'll come right. Stand back. I'm not standing back. That's my son you got. What are you pulling him over for? Well, he don't have driving license. Okay, write him a ticket for driving without driving license. What is the other reason? Why are you harassing him? Why are you threatening him? Why you got him scared and he's calling me to come to his rescue, and this would make policemen mad. It seemed like the police would be saying, well, good, he's got a parent that care, and his parent is right here on the scene. So I'm your son, instead of police saying, well, your son, he shouldn't be driving we know this, he shouldn't be driving without driving license, and he's hanging here and he's doing this, and maybe if we can help you or your son or your child get some help to prevent or to help, this type of behavior he have, here's my card. No, they wasn't like that. And this is what Mary's trying to, this is what Mary's not trying, this is what Mary's doing. Instead, they would say, yeah, you little fucker, we're going to catch you again doing something, and we know you're going to do something. And this time we're going to get you. And then if they go to jail or if they get caught for something little, the police is going to pull all kind of things out of the bushes to put on that one little case they did to make it a big case so they can be sent to prison for life or for 20 years. And you guys know this has been going on for centuries in the low income area, in the Black community. But whereas I choose, and they and they always say, well, it is not that many crimes. Yeah, but it's not crimes like that in the white neighborhood or in the white community, because they have that support system. They have if a mother tell the police, well, I know he's got bad behavior, but I don't know what to do. And the police will be like, well, they got this program that you and your son, or he'll give them some advice, and he'll help them get support. But that's never been going on in the Black community. The Black community has never had support. They have never had the policemen or people's in the system to try to help them to prevent them from committing crimes and preventing them from being incarcerated. That's never been there until Mary got into the office. And she's doing such a great job. And people, we have to keep her in the office because Mary, I truly believe, is God sent. I'm going to share some of the press conference. I know a lot of people probably have watched them, or I don't know, or went to them, but she is doing a darn good, great, tremendous, awesome job in our community, in the system, in our city, in our county. She is doing a good job. And people, we have to keep her in there because if we don't, it's like dominoes. All of it's gonna just somebody's gonna get in there and they're gonna knock it all down. And it's just it's awesome what she's doing. And this is the whole reason Lincoln created prison politics for things or stuff like this that Mary's doing. The things that Mary's doing in our county, in our city, in our community, with our youth and with our family, this is the whole reason Lincoln created prison politics. If these walls could talk, because like I said, he was interacting with the young men that would be getting incarcerated, and he would talk to them and he would interact with them. And they was like, he's like, man, they have no kind of support, none. He said they have no support, and this is the whole reason why he created this podcast, so they can have some kind of support, outside support, and the main goal of Lincoln creating this podcast is all the things that Mary are doing, all the things that she are doing for the youth to prevent crime and incarceration. This is the whole reason why Lincoln created this podcast. And it's working. It's working. It's working. It's working. And I just want to share some of the good things Mary are doing for the community, for the people, for the system, and how she's turning everything around for the good, and for the better. And I got him up here. This guy here, uh, who is he? The law enforcement prosecutor in Brooklyn Center. You guys probably heard of the statements that he made, and he just contradicts himself. The statements that he made just was proof that we need we need uh we need police officers to support us, our youth, and our community. Um, Not, it's on a card to serve the people, not to hurt the people, or if the peoples are in what can I say, if the peoples are in a bad predicament, not to put them in a more worse predicament. No, that's not your job. Your job is to serve people, support them, and help them. And I tell you, to me, he's an asshole. He's a professional asshole. That's what he is to me. But and I had to put that out there because that's exactly what he is, a professional asshole. And I hope he hear me saying this because I mean it. And God forgive me, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm a child of God. But he's contradicting all the good things that are going on for our county and our community and our city. And that just I don't know. That just sounded kind of personal, what he was saying. It just sounded kind of personal. I don't know if you guys heard it or not. I'm gonna let you
Bloomington Police Chief is raising questions about law enforcement's ability to work with Hennepin County's top prosecutor. In that video that was removed last month, Chief Booker Hodges challenges the leadership of County Attorney Mary Moriarty.
Now, Paul Bloom obtained a copy of the video after filing a public data request, and he tells us why the relationship between the prosecutors and the police in Hennepin County will remain under the microscope.
But the elected person, Mary Moriarty, we got a lot of relationship rebuilding to do.
In this 5-minute video posted on the Bloomington Police Department's public YouTube page, Chief Booker Hodges outlined his frustrations with Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty.
I will not allow someone in such a position to disparage this profession.
Hodges posted the video on June 20th, less than 3 weeks after Moriarty publicly questioned the training of police officers during this news conference.
And I think this is a fundamental problem with all of law enforcement, that they are trained to control. They are trained for compliance.
That day, Moriarty explained why she dismissed murder charges against State Trooper Ryan Longigan for the deadly traffic stop shooting of Ricky Cobb II. She also said attorneys in her office worried about prosecuting those wearing the badge.
People fear retaliation from police. And by that, I mean slow walking cases. I don't mean,
Lincoln being
what I mean is
convicted is retaliation.
That has happened in this.
It's retaliation.
Comments that police are going to slow walk cases. We're not. Why would we do that? It makes no sense.
Yeah, but you guys
Comments
do.
like that make the public less safe.
Well, Chief Hodges
You're not.
acknowledged he was likely to get into
Did y'all hear
trouble
what he
for his
said?
commentary.
Statements like, wait a minute. He said statements like that make the community and the city less safe. This is exactly what we're talking about. The way policemen respond and deal with our youth and our community isn't safe. It hasn't been safe. It's so unsafe that people are afraid to call the police. When people need help, they got the thinking, should I call them? If I call them, will they shoot somebody? Will they kill somebody? Will they? No, I better not call them. So here, let's go back. Let's go back to this, you guys. Wait.
Retaliation from police. And by that, I mean slow walking cases. I don't mean, physical harm. What I mean is they don't work up the cases. That has happened in this office.
Comments that police are going to slow walk cases.
Wait a minute.
We're not. Why would we do that?
Because you do.
It makes no sense.
It makes a lot of sense.
Comments like that make the public less safe.
Well,
No,
Chief
you make the
Hodges
public less
acknowledged
Compliance.
that day, Moriarty explained why she dismissed murder charges against State Trooper Ryan Longigan for the deadly traffic stop shooting of Ricky Cobb II. She also said attorneys in her office worried about prosecuting those wearing the badge.
People fear retaliation from police. And by that, I mean slow walking cases. I don't mean, physical harm. What I mean is they don't work up the cases.
She's right.
That has
She's
happened
right.
in
She's
this
right.
office.
Comments
She's right.
that police are going to slow walk cases.
You do.
We're not. Why would we do that?
Because you do.
It makes no sense.
It makes a lot of
Comments
sense.
like that make the public less safe.
No.
Well, Chief Hodges acknowledged
like
he
you
was
make
likely to get into
the
trouble for
community
his
less safe.
commentary. The video was still posted on the internet.
Within hours, though, viewers would find a broken link, quote, video removed by uploader. Fox 9 had to file a public data request to obtain an original copy.
It is still a government record, and you can't totally take back once you've created a video like that.
Rachel Moran is a University of St. Thomas associate law professor who focuses her academic work on police accountability issues as well as public access to law enforcement records.
It's okay to criticize people, and especially to criticize public officials, whether that's a county attorney or a police chief. In fact, we do need to be able to say when things aren't going well.
In this case, Moran explains it reveals the depths of the ongoing conflict.
One of the things Mary Moriarty has expressed in her time as county attorney is that she thinks the police are being too defensive when she critiques them or advocates for more accountability. And this video does play into that a little bit by being quite defensive about her critiques of police. So it's a back and forth that doesn't seem all that productive.
While the chief's comments are now scrubbed from the internet, the questions they raise about the ongoing relationship are likely to continue. Paul Bloom, Fox 9.
The Hennepin County Attorney has also criticized law enforcement for pushing back against reforms that would limit association with white supremacy groups. Police Chief Booker Hodges addressed those allegations as well, but said he took the video down because his statement was not 100% accurate, adding, quote, "I encourage the elected county attorney to work on repairing her relationship with people who work in law enforcement." A spokesperson for the Hennepin County Attorney's Office said they appreciate that the video has been taken down and have no further comments.
What you guys think about that? What do you guys think about that? I can't believe he said that. He said it makes, what he said, it makes the community less safe. No, the community should feel safe when policemen are around. They shouldn't feel threatened. They shouldn't feel afraid. If they do have a problem and they can't solve it, and no one in their family could solve it, the community needs good honesty, caring support from the policemen, not threats or retaliation. I mean, it's just, Mary Moriarty is God sent. And people, we got to keep her in there. We got to keep her in there. We have to keep her in there as our county attorney. We have to keep her in there because this is going to save our community. This is going to save our children. This is going to save our family. This is going to save the system. And it's even going to save people that are not even aware that they need to be saved. And I'm talking about people in higher positions. That's why I'm saying that she's God sent, because she's not only helping the community and our youth and our family, she's helping people in high positions that need to be saved and help themselves, and they're not even aware of it. But I just want to share this with you guys. Let me show you some of the things that Mary are doing since she's been the county attorney. Let me share this one.
Good morning. We are here for an exciting announcement. Fair trials are the bedrock of the criminal legal system. Without them, proper convictions may be overturned, innocent people can be convicted, and people who actually commit crimes remain free to harm others in the community. And without fair trials, victims and their families are left without true justice. Like all human systems, our criminal legal system is fallible. We know that the system occasionally breaks down, people make mistakes, and individuals are convicted of crimes they did not commit or suffer from other miscarriages of justice. We have a very recent example here in Hennepin County in Marvin Haynes. He spent nearly 20 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. He was exonerated this past December with the full agreement of the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. When there's an issue like this, a serious issue like this, it is our responsibility, or it is the responsibility of conscientious prosecutors like those who work in this office to take steps to remedy those errors. The prosecutors who work in this office provide a vital public service. They work hard every day to ensure that those who commit acts of violence and harm members of our community face accountability for their actions. No prosecutor in this office wants to see someone convicted for a crime they did not commit. That's why I'm proud today to announce the creation of the Hennepin County Attorney's Office First Conviction Integrity Unit. When I decided to run for office, this was a crucial part of my plan, and I'm honored today to make that happen. The basic function of the Conviction Integrity Unit is to investigate convictions where there is a credible basis to suspect that a wrong conviction or some other serious injustice may have occurred. Forming a unit also lets us work directly with victims and their families to guide them transparently and compassionately through this process. I'm excited to share that Andrew Markwart, who is the managing attorney at the Great North Innocence Project, will head this new unit. At the Innocence Project, he investigated cases of wrongful convictions and represented individuals in state and federal court after they were convicted. Andrew represented Martin Haynes. He led the Innocence at the University of Minnesota Law School and is taught there and at other law schools about wrongful convictions and death penalty law. Please join me in welcoming Andrew.
Thank you, Mary. I'm Andrew Markwart. I am honored to be tasked with leading the newly created Conviction Integrity Unit out of the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. And I want to thank Mary Moriarty for making good on her commitment to launch this important unit and for allowing me the opportunity to participate in these efforts to advance the cause of justice in Hennepin County. Now, our system affords prosecutors with a tremendous amount of power over individuals' lives and a great deal of discretion over how to wield that power. With this unit, it presents an opportunity to direct that power for remedying injustices in ways that aren't feasible from outside the government. And, you know, oftentimes when we're talking about traditional post-conviction litigation, it's so much about technical legal issue, procedural fights. What we can do with this unit is we can really cut through all that and really focus in on the merits of the case, on the facts. Do the facts actually support the conviction that this person is being incarcerated for? Did they actually support the sentence that was laid down or not? And that's what we're going to do. So the purpose of these investigations we're going to do is twofold. Obviously, we want to provide relief for individuals who've been assigned justice. You know, if someone is sitting in prison for a crime they didn't commit, that is an intolerable offense against that individual, against that individual family, against that individual's community. And the ripple effects of wrongful convictions go much beyond the particular defendant. So when we find those injustices, we have an obligation to remedy them, and we will remedy them. But we also want to not just be backward-looking, but also be forward-looking, and to learn from past mistakes and find ways to improve our system going forward and to prevent future injustices. Now, the point of these investigations is not to cast blame on particular individuals who are involved in these cases. Those people be police, prosecutors, or frankly defense attorneys, who often can bear more than their fair share of the blame as well. Now, obviously, if we uncover misconduct or malfeasance in the course of our investigations, those things will be addressed in the proper course. But it's really not the purpose of what we're doing. You know, cases can go wrong for many reasons. And you may have new evidence that's discovered years later. So the case in an entirely different light. And you may have forensic methods or scientific techniques that were believed to be relied on point in time, and science marches forward, and all of a sudden they're not quite as they once thought they were. Cases problems that may have seemed minimal at the time, with hindsight, those problems may be much more material than were realized at the time. So all kinds of reasons cases go wrong, and we will be looking at the full gamut of issues. I also want to be clear that the standard for obtaining relief through this unit is going to be high, by necessity. Okay? it is no small matter to overturn a conviction after someone's been found guilty by a jury of their peers. It's a big deal, okay? And I can assure you that is not something I take lightly. It's something that any of us takes lightly. So if we conclude that we need to seek to vacate someone's conviction, that's going to be after a robust process, a thorough investigation, and a really highly compelling basis to do so. And where we do satisfy those requirements, we will not hesitate to act, but only after that robust process. And unfortunately, we're not sailing into uncharted water. We benefit from the experiences of many other units of this around the country who've been doing this kind of work in recent years, and that includes the conviction review unit of our own Attorney General's office, which is doing really essential work all around the state, and which I'm confident is going to continue to do that important work, especially now that we're setting up this unit in our biggest county with the most convictions that allows more bandwidth for that unit on other parts of the state. And as we're getting started, we're going to be looking at existing units. We were already doing that, trying to develop best practices and put together a really first-rate conviction integrity unit that can be a point of pride for residents of Hennepin County. So I'm really delighted to be here. I'm excited to get started with this important work and working to promote justice. After that, I'll introduce my colleague, Eric Deal.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning. I'm Claire Deagle, and I have the Hennepin County Attorney's Office's Division of Professional Standards. That division will have this unit. We've spent the past year since Mary Moriarty created the Division of Professional Standards. The goal of the division is to do what we can as prosecutors to make the criminal legal system work better for everyone. That includes victims, that includes defendants. The division seeks to improve our system by, among other things, instituting criminal law reforms like prosecutor-initiated sentence adjustment, reforming the office's Brady-Giglio practices to guard against wrongful convictions and ensure fair trials, and establishing a centralized training unit. The Conviction Integrity Unit is an important addition to the division's work. There are not many attorneys in Minnesota who have the specific experience Andrew does of running a team to investigate claims of convictions and then seek relief in court. For that reason, we are so fortunate to have him leading the CIU. Our goal is to get this unit up and running and accept applications for KU as soon as possible. We will be hiring a second attorney, an investigator, and a paralegal to form the unit. As soon as we are ready to review cases, we will post applications on our website, hennepinattorney.org. And with that, I'm happy to introduce Marvin.
Hi guys, my name is Marvin Haynes. I was in this room for a press conference like a little under 7 months ago on December 11, 2023. That was just a couple hours after I had been exonerated or released from prison after spending almost 2 years in prison for a crime I did not commit. I was in the room because the Hennepin County Attorney's Office did big things that allowed me to finally get justice. First, because my case was old at that point, the statute of limitations and other procedure rules that made it really hard for me to get back into court. This office realized it would be unfair to keep me out of court for reasons that have nothing to do with my innocence. So they waived the issue. Second, I had a chance to present my evidence in court. This was realized that the evidence showed I was innocent. Every minority agreed that I should be exonerated. I remember I got the news from my lawyer on my birthday shit. A few days later, I was walking out of prison. It was so much incredible feeling. I feel the same way being here. Even though the conviction integrity unit wasn't around yet, my case already showed that the whole thing is this showed what it was all about. It's a chance for the prosecutor office to take another look at cases like mine, where the system get wrong, and to make things right. Because my case is not unique. There are more Marvin Hayneses out there. It's kind of crazy looking back, but when I went to prison at 17, I didn't know anything about wrongful convictions. As far as I'm concerned, I might as well have been the first person wrongfully convicted. But the more I spent in prison, the more I realized how bad our system goes wrong and that other people had experienced the same injustice. Now that I'm out, I want to do what I can for fighting for justice. That's why I was at the legislature this spring testifying in support of my bill to make it easy for people to get back into court with the evidence. That's also why I'm happy to be here today supporting this efforts in the CRU. If something like this existed years ago, maybe I would have gotten justice sooner. But I'm glad it exists now because I know it's going to be helpful to so many other people that's wrongly convicted. But I just want to say some other words too. Like, I appreciate this unit being started. It's going to help so many different individuals that's incarcerated that I was personally in jail with, you know, so that was actually innocent that ain't got justice due to the statute of limitations. So I'm just glad that Mary and her unit is creating this because it's going to help so many people. And then Andrew is going to be running it, so it's going to be a major deal. And I just appreciate everybody for supporting me. And please, let's support the other people that's wrongly convicted because they need justice.
I wanted to say that the bill Marvin testified about did pass. And Marvin is amazing. And Marvin is an integral part of our community. And he would not have had that opportunity, nor would the community have had that opportunity, but for looking at his conviction to see what had gone wrong. So I'll open it up to any questions. Yes.
Says about the office that are now in place where you are using as speaking of broader social changes as well.
I think it speaks to the recognition that it makes, and Andrew talked about that. Prosecutors make mistakes, enforcement makes mistakes, and so do defenders. And I think we have to have the humility to recognize that the things that we might have done many, many years ago, why it looked like the right thing to do at the time or not now, and that we need to correct those. And so I think it's really important for us to have that insight and be open to the idea that mistakes made, but we shouldn't continue to go on, even though we know that that's happening, when we know that there are people languishing in prison and that their families are also paying for that outside prison.
Can you say a little bit more about how
Yeah, so the CRU, most of the cases in Minnesota come from Hennepin County. And so we work with them right now. We will continue to work with them. We work with them on learning what their process is. That cooperation will continue. But as Andrew said, it will allow the conviction review, the Attorney General's team, to look at cases throughout Minnesota while we focus on cases that are in Hennepin County. We have direct access to our files, and so we believe we can make this process quicker, but because we're only doing our cases and has access to the things we need, we should be much more efficient. And that does free us the cases for you guys in Minnesota.
So the question is, just like you don't stand to testify,
yeah, if you don't mind, because I know what you're talking about here. So we're talking about informants, yes. So historically, one thing the office has done is at time rely on people already in the system who have something to lose or something to gain by getting information about somebody else. We do not do that. We don't use informants anymore at the office because we understand when you put a person in a situation where you're offering them money or you're offering a substantial cut on their sentence to cooperate with us, that creates a very, very huge incentive for that person to testify in a way that actually isn't consistent with what. And so we don't do that anymore. I do think your point about the fact that the office did do that in the past is an important issue for us to look at. What the Conviction Integrity Unit does do is to look at the entire file. And this is an important distinction here. Our courts of appeals and our Minnesota Supreme Court, when they review a case, are only reviewing the paper or the transcript from the trial. There's much more information in there. There's much more information in the file. And so sometimes our appellate courts will affirm a conviction and they just don't have the access to all the information that's in the file, which we will have. So yes, we will go back and we will look at everything in the file to see if there's something in there that meant that this person did not receive a fair trial or that they're innocent. And I should also say, we're looking at cases where a person did not receive a fair trial. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're innocent, but that means that they did not get a fair trial and perhaps we need to try it. So we will be looking at all of those issues. Thank you for that question. Any other questions? No,
Life has been so beautiful, just growing every day. I'm working. That's the majority of my time to go to work. Honestly, I gotta pay my bills. So I mean, but in my free time, I go do a lot of different things. Yesterday, I just went. I was actually on the lake. I have fun, so I've just been doing new things every day, every weekend and stuff. Trying as often as I can, but I became the majority of my time. But like I said, I just been enjoying my life and just making up for the 20 years that I was incarcerated. So yeah. Yeah, it is a lot of family time. I mean, unfortunately, my mom was going through a situation, and that's kind of like one of the hardest things that I got to experience. And knowing that it reminds me every day of what I've been through because my mom can't speak, so that's hard. Not having that support or having that guidance from your mother. I was just crazy because I moved into my own place, and it's crazy because my mom can't even come help me decorate. You know what I'm saying, or even see what it would look like because her conditions. But I'm just blessed to be able to be with her and talk to her. But it's a hard experience knowing that. But for the most part, I'm happy to be free. Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Just everything, all my accomplishments. It's just been amazing to know that I was just in cell now that got my own place. I got everything going for myself, so it's amazing. And hopefully this unit will help other people, get their life back because it's hard in that place. So yeah.
I did want to follow up on what Marvin said. What we intend to do also is learn from our mistakes of the past. Obviously, Marvin was released, but he doesn't get his 19 years back. He doesn't get that 19 years with his mom, his sister, his family, the community doesn't get that time back with him. And so it's important to look back, but it's also important to learn from the mistakes of the past. And that is one of the things we intend to do. Like, how did we get to this place where a wrongful conviction happened? And what can we do in the office to try to ensure that it doesn't happen again? Any other? Yes.
Kind of how it works with looking at cases going forward or looking at cases going back.
Cases going back. Is that so?
In the past,
Yes.
Well, kind of how's it now?
Yeah. So Claire mentioned we're in the process of building out that process. We will have an application. We will make that available to those who are incarcerated right now. And we will be looking at cases going, if somebody's in prison, we'll be open to looking at that case. Yes.
Ballpark of the amount of people that could be in prison, like, give some number that you think you might do a reach.
In terms of reach, as I said, we want to make the process available to everyone. That doesn't mean that everyone in prison has been wrongfully convicted. And so we want the process to be available. I don't think we have a good sense of how many people might be there who were wrongfully convicted and innocent. I have a feeling we'll probably see more cases where we can't conclude that a person is innocent, but we can conclude that there was some pretty serious violations that might necessitate trial. So we're open-minded about what we're going to see, but we're going to make it very accessible to anybody who wants to apply.
I have one more question. Back in the days, you served, you did go back to the guy said you were white, he's still incarcerated, so he's still water. Will he be allowed to apply for this program? Or that's only one?
Oh, so on conviction integrity, anybody who is in prison can apply. This isn't a program dependent on the commissioner. It's also, and I know this is confusing, the legislature last session before last, gave us prosecutor-initiated sentencing adjustment. That's very different. So conviction integrity is really about those who are in prison who want to apply to our office to have their conviction looked at. And then that's the work that Andrew and the rest of the team will be doing.
Then we have another guy who did 50 years, and he's still sitting in prison. He's served all of his time. So those folks in particular who have served their time with the DOC don't want to let them out. They will be eligible to apply for this interrogation.
So
Based off of its
integrity.
Based off of
Yeah.
procedural stuff.
If somebody is in prison and they are saying that they were wrongfully convicted, they can apply to our office. And then in terms of priorities, I think that's going to be.
May not be wrongfully incarcerated, they have other things to do, or do a person have an actual claim.
Well, when they apply, they should have an actual claim of innocence. What we will look at is what kind of trial they received and whether there is indication that they were innocent. That's why I said there will be some people who perhaps did not have a fair trial, but they are also innocent. Those are the kinds of cases where people would get relief because they've been wrongfully incarcerated and they are innocent. Relief meaning we will petition the court. Other people may have, let's say they got ineffective assistance of counsel. Their defense lawyer just didn't do a great job. Simply having a lawyer who doesn't do a great job does not mean that you are innocent. Okay, so there may be some cases where the lawyer didn't do a great job, but we can't say that the person is innocent. So we will look at whether there should be some other remedy there. Yep.
How much did it cost to?
Well, so we, in the last budget cycle, made a request of the county board to staff to get our unit up and running. We will be making an additional request on that. I would say we're not going to be fully staffed. Part of it depends on the volume that we get. But we'll see as we get, and we'll talk to the commissioners about additional resources that we. Thank you.
So I just want to share things that Mary's doing. And I got one more I want to share with you guys. It's very important. Bless her heart. She's helping. She's got programs. She started programs, and she's supporting people who was wrongfully convicted and sentenced for life or a long time in prison. Jesus Christ. And that's just it's a blessing. Mary Moriarty is a blessing. And that's just I want to share that with you guys, the Conviction Integrity Unit, with her working on that, like I said, for the damage that has already been done by the system. She's got it covered. She's got a program to help out for after damage has been done by the system, the judicial system. And then she's got programs to prevent the youth from getting to this point. And I like to share that with you guys. This program she's got is for youth. Let's see. This one. Okay, this is and I like this one. I want to share this with you guys. How she's going about to prevent car theft in our country. Instead of her getting up there saying, "Get them, lock them up, and throw away the keys," or "Get them and punish them." Excuse me. She's not going about it like that. She's got something going on where it could prevent them behaviors from happening again. It could prevent things from getting worse. It could prevent them from being incarcerated. And I'm telling you, she's just doing such a great job. I know she's got sent because I said something was forbidden. I was gonna say whoever else got the balls to get up there. You know what person or man has used their power in a godly, righteous, caring, loving way? No one that I know of. So you guys make sure make sure you get out there and vote when it comes to time voting and get Mary back up in there. I'll be campaigning her from now on up until time of election. I will be campaigning for Mary. But I want to share this with you guys, what she's doing also.
To start a public meeting. A top official says there's a new plan to stop car thefts by teenagers. As we've been reporting, carjackings and thefts have surged, especially those involving young people. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shows us why some question the new prevention strategy.
Carjackings, car thefts, and car chases ending in catastrophe, and the offenders sometimes as young as 12.
What we are trying to do is intervene. This is a focused intervention
The Hennepin County Attorney unveiled a plan to do just that, working with police departments to identify kids who could fall into trouble and giving support to parents who say they don't know how to handle their kids.
We don't want youth to have records. And so what we want to do is intervene effectively and early on in the hopes
this morning, emphasizing the need for community. Well, WCCO had been called to another press conference moments later by community members saying they didn't even know about the county attorney's plans. What do you feel? Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, WCCO News.
The new plan also means kids who are charged will move through the legal process more.
Hey, if you live in one of these cities right here, why don't you own an apartment building? Seriously, let me show you a path that absolutely changed your life, unlock financial freedom. You might be thinking right now, listen, Tyler, don't have millions and millions of dollars sitting in a bank account.
Well, joining me now are the president of the National Action Network and host.
I just wanted to share that with you guys, and what she's talking about with that preventing the car theft is that she's connecting the community, the policemen, the family, the parents, the system. She's connecting everybody to work together to prevent this from happening. And she's got so many programs going on to help youth with that type of behavior, you know, because they talk to a lot of the parents who have sons or daughters or whatever that's got bad behavior. They say they don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So Mary has created these programs that can support parents and their youth to prevent bad behavior in the community and the city. And one more I want to share. I'm not thinking about him. He's not doing nothing, just money and fame. That's all he's about, money and fame. I can't stand him. God forgive me. I love him. I love everybody because I'm a child of God, but his behavior, his bad behavior. Yeah. His bad behavior. Al Sharks, whatever his name is. It's terrible. Okay, I like that one too. Him, I'm not even thinking. His bad behavior. Where's it at? That, okay. Here, let's see.
Good point. Do you think you can forgive me? Will I see her again?
Who am I? Really? Life is filled with so many questions.
And we can help you find answers, comfort, and strength through Jesus Christ.
Missionaries can help you find direction in the Savior's teachings. Request a visit with missionaries from the church.
So there's two prongs to this initiative. The first prong is this early intervention pathway that Mary spoke about. And this is really about putting in place access to voluntary services for youth and families before they become involved in the legal system. As you can see, this is one-way information sharing. So what we set up with our law enforcement partners was regular meetings and opportunities for them to share information about young people that they had concerns about related to youth auto theft related behaviors, but did not have sufficient evidence to present a case for our office for charging. Our team would then review for eligibility, and what that means in practice is that our youth prosecution, our child protection, and our truancy teams would do a file clearance to see if that young person is already receiving services at the county through a different system of involvement. And if not, if they were eligible, they would be referred to social workers for outreach to the family and youth to provide voluntary services.
And this is very important for the parents and the mom who has a youngster out there with bad behavior, probably involved with stealing cars or whatever. This is
So we began this work in June of 2023, and between June of 2023 and May of 2024, we had 205 youth referred by law enforcement for this initiative. 107 of those were screened in as eligible. So again, those who were screened out were likely already system involved in some, already receiving services. They may have an open case in which they're already on probation or receiving services through the court. They may have a social worker through child protection or be receiving services through our truancy work. And this one, again, because it's one-way information sharing. So law enforcement refers the case to us. 107 are screened in as eligible, and then of those 107, 105 had been referred to the social worker for outreach and services as of the time that we pulled this data. And so participation is completely voluntary. But what we're finding is that youth and families are overwhelmingly accepting these services, which really aligns with research that demonstrates that voluntary interventions with youth are most successful. We receive referrals from all over the county. This slide shows you that the majority of the highest of our referrals come from the sheriff's office. It's important to know that their work spans the entire county, so they refer youth from across the county. Each referral is attributed to a single agency, even if multiple agencies have had contact with that young person. And then if they're screened in as eligible, what do the social workers do? So they attempt contact with the youth and the family. They, as of this data, they have attempted contact with 100% of the youth and families to them and successfully made contact with 73% of those youth and families. And among those successfully contacted, so among that 73%, social workers offered or directly provided resources to 95% of the youth. And this is very individualized, right? It's very much about what does this young person and family need to be successful moving forward. It can include the county's family response stabilization services, mental health resources, case management, public assistance, transportation, sometimes just meeting basic needs like clothing, food, shelter, and working related to school re-enrollment. And that's for the first prong. For the second prong, this was about our internal work, saying if we're going to ask our partners to refer youth for early intervention, we also need to be accountable here at the county attorney's office for intervening quickly as well. So this is for those cases, those young people where law enforcement has been able to submit a case to us, where we really committed to reducing the amount of time to charging. Anybody who has a young person in their life knows that if you wait months, sometimes even a year, before you put accountability measures in place, it's way too long. They've already moved beyond whatever it was that happened. And as Mary mentioned earlier, our partners in law enforcement were seeing very quick escalation in behaviors. So we committed to making this change internally, where we significantly decreased charging time. So increased by 18% the number of decisions that were made within 3 days, and by 24% the number of decisions that were made within 10 days. We also work with our partners. I want to thank our partners in the court system who worked to put in place immediate access to voluntary services once a young person is charged. Because simply charging a young person is not an effective intervention. It's having them enter the system with immediate access to those voluntary services. I'm going to pass it back to you.
Every threat we prevent, or every theft, we prevent is one youth driving dangerously, putting others and themselves at risk. Every theft we prevent is one less youth entering the system at all. So this is a slide about what has happened once a social worker reached out and offered services. And in a nutshell, the program is working really well. So 95 will refer to a social worker. When we say refer, this is about the family. It's not only about the young person, it's about the family and trying to get the family the services that they need to stabilize the young person so that they're not engaging in this risky behavior. So 77 young people had no new charged cases between their date of referral to services and the date of the most recent check for new charged cases. That is 81%. 81%, which is unheard of. 81% of those young people have not been referred for a new case. They haven't been charged with a new case. We also know, next slide here. So here are auto thefts as reported throughout the county. Last year, January through May, there were about 4,800 car thefts reported. This year, that same period of time, it's down to about 3,300. So a dramatic decrease in the numbers of car thefts reported. This data comes from the Minnesota BCA, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. This data comes from law enforcement. So each department is responsible for submitting this data. This data comes directly from law enforcement partners throughout Hennepin County. So this next slide pertains to Minneapolis and Minneapolis alone. And we'll be hearing shortly from Elliot Payne, president of the Minneapolis City Council. But if you look at the data here, you can see from January 1st to June 24th, 2024, the Minneapolis Police Department reports a 29% decrease in car thefts reported. And we broke this down by ward. So as you all, Minneapolis has 13 wards, and car theft is down in every single ward, ranging from, I think, 16% to 36%. We know, crime had gone down. There was one place where it continued to go up, and that was car theft. So this is incredibly good news that theft is going down. So we also know that we at the county attorney's office are receiving far fewer cases from law enforcement. So there's a drop in 48% of cases that we've received. The clearance rates, by the way, have stayed about the same. So law enforcement isn't clearing any additional cases. Car theft is going down, however. So this is part of a broader Hennepin County Attorney's Office to implement policies and practices that are grounded in research and evidence to improve outcomes. Our goal is to improve community safety and well-being through both individual and system accountability that leads to these kind of positive outcomes for youth, family, and our communities. We're grateful to our partners for collaborating with us to achieve these promising results in the context of youth auto thefts. What interventions, and Sarah talked about this a little bit, with youth are most effective when they're immediate. So as close as possible in time to the behavior. Relationships
relational. We know that youth are much more accountable to relationships than they are to rules. Individualized. We have to account for the individualized strengths and needs of each youth and family. And that's why Sarah said the services that are offered are individualized to what that family needs. Based, connected to the youth and family's community, regardless of level of services and supports needed. Both parts of this initiative, the new early voluntary interventions pathway and the expedited court interventions, are built on this framework, and we're seeing the impact in improved outcomes for both youth and community safety. Waiting for young people to stars, potentially hurting others or themselves, and gain a criminal record is not the answer. This initiative shows that when prosecutors, law enforcement, and social workers work together to intervene early, and support young people and their families, we can prevent crime from occurring. Early intervention helps improve justice and public safety for everyone. I want to hand it over to Council President Elliot Payne.
Thank you, Attorney Moriarty. Hello, everyone. I'm Elliot Payne. I'm the Minneapolis City Council President, and you may be wondering why am I here. Well, I'm here because the city of Minneapolis is in the process of building a comprehensive public safety system. What does that mean? It means we're building out a foundation with these pillars of prevention, response, and restoration. And that can sound very academic. So what does that mean in practice? What it means in practice is programs like this, early intervention, making sure that we're intervening before we get to the point of there being risks in our community, harm to our young people, and families broken apart. It means partnering with jurisdictions at the city, county, state, and federal level to bring these programs into fruition, whether that is working with AG Ellison on putting more pressure on Hyundai and Kia to repair their cars from being vulnerable to auto theft, to pressuring NHTSA at the federal level to do the same and ask for a nationwide recall. And doing that across the nation with other local jurisdictions. And this work is going to take a lot of time, and it needs to be built on data. And today we are recognizing the results, right? We have clear results about what it means to do early intervention. And we have results that are showing a level of efficacy that goes far and beyond our ability to respond to this with just police. And when I meet with our police chief, he will be the first to tell you it is extraordinarily hard to build cases. It is extraordinarily hard to get the evidence necessary to be able to prove without a reasonable doubt that somebody committed this crime. We need to get ahead of those challenges doing programs like this earlier. This is how we're going to have a robust, comprehensive public safety system in the city of Minneapolis and throughout the county. So, thank you.
Questions? Yes.
Sure. I'm wondering for you use people who have been charged and then you provide services to them. Are these children who are still in a juvenile facility or have been already released? I'm curious where you provide those services to them.
And I want to emphasize again, this pathway, these are not the cases that law enforcement sends to us that are prosecutable. When if a case is prosecutable, we will prosecute it, and then it depends on the individual youth as to what kind of services that they will receive. I think it's also important too to know that young people are arrested and they're held at the juvenile detention center, but if you don't get the case from law enforcement, that's outside of our control. So sometimes you will hear that young people have been arrested, or the police think that the same young people are being arrested. We're mostly not getting those cases. And so I don't know if did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I guess, are there certain cases when there's, depending on the person, like you're able to provide some services for a person in a juvenile detention facility?
Well, the juvenile detention facility is a holding area. Yeah. It's not designed to give young people services. So we use all of our tools at the county attorney's office. And, unfortunately, that includes sometimes certifying youth as adults, which we did in the Mall of America shooting. There was a young person that we agreed to certify as an adult, and he was sent to adult prison. That's on one end. And there are lots of ways to try to intervene in a young person's life. We don't have enough resources to do that. This program is on the other end of the spectrum, but it did not exist until 1 year ago. Yeah, Jen.
What percentage of cases, 23 and 24, when we talk about auto theft, are you? How did, is it 50% done by you, 60%, 20%? Saying like, where did you call it? This part of that from as a whole.
Sure. We don't have that data specifically. So, for example, the data related to Minneapolis, that's just reported auto thefts, and because a lot of them aren't solved, right? Clearance rate, as Mary mentioned, is only hovers around 4%. Unless they're solved, we don't know if it was a young person or an adult or some combination. So what we have to look at is the data that law enforcement reports to the state, and I believe this actually came from MPD's crime dashboard themselves, about how many auto thefts are being reported to them. But we can't break that down by youth or adult unless it's solved. And so that's where what we can look at is how many cases are being submitted to our office by law enforcement for charging consideration for young people in the context of auto theft. And that's where, when we looked at January through May of 23, which was the period of time before this initiative started last year, and compared that to January to May of 2024, during which time this initiative had been up and running and was continuing, it was a 48% drop in those submissions. It's a great question, but unless the cases are clear, we can't determine whether it was a young person or an adult.
My second question is just a little bit more heady and to get kind of thing by specific individuals. But when I look at the services that you are able to provide, these youth that accept or families that accept, the common perception, unfortunately, in the community is that the kinds of kids that do this are X, Y, Z. And it looks like a lot of the services that you're providing are showing to me that they need some basic needs that aren't being met. The people that
I'm going to read some of these comments. Amber Turd, thanks, George Floyd. Amber Turd, police are to allow to arrest POCs, judges, just let them go anyway. Amber Turd, youth need father. Toronto's very own. They've been offering this junk since 1970 in Minneapolis for these ungrateful kids, and all that happened is the mother just want money and the kids never show up for the mentoring. Now, this is a lie. Whoever Toronto very own is, it's probably been happening in your community. Okay, they've probably been offering this junk in your community, and that's why your community does not have all the turmoil and all the stuff going on in it like the Black community and the low income community do. So that's a lie. Toronto's very own. He said they've been offering this junk since 1970. That's a damn lie. This has never been offered to the Black community or the low income community until Mary Moriarty got up in there in that position. So that's a lie. And he said for these ungrateful kids, and all that happens is the mothers just want money and the kids never show up for mentoring. So if you guys got a comment to send to reply to Tonto very owned, this is his thing, but this is authentic podcast, so people's gonna speak what's on their mind, and everybody has a voice, whether it's good or bad. Everybody has a voice. Split Jackson, quit beating around the bush and just say what everyone is thinking. He got it. Toronto very own said they've been offering this junk since 1970 in Minneapolis for these ungrateful kids, and all that happens is the mothers just want money. Kids never show up for mentoring. Okay, he got to respond from Jackson. Quit beating around the bush and just say whatever you want to. White supremacies.
Okay.
How they're not getting clothing, shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and I think the success of this program shows that, right? If these are the services that are being offered, I've muted now. Yeah, the services that are being offered are pretty basic, right? So if providing basic services mean that 81% of these young people aren't coming back with a charged case is huge. These are young people who are coming off of COVID. There are mental health issues. There's housing instability, food insecurity, all of these issues. And if we can intervene with those basic things that every young person should have, that can help stabilize that young person's household and treat it so that they're not engaging in this kind of behavior. Absolutely.
When you mentioned the Wall of America, I know off topic, but you said you went and certified a teenager in that case. But Judge Stockton did at sentencing question why more of these young people who basically assassinated that young man were in charge of the adult system. So some of the criticism that's in the community is how you go after sort of the more hard. Like who do you think we're sweeping up in this? Like the kids on the periphery who are, have the candy on the back seat, let's hop in the car with the kid who's got the gun, if you will, like we sweeping up real potential dangerous offenders. I think about recently. Case Station had a certainly mentioned earlier, a kid with several arrests documented with a couple prior charges. He's got guns, he's got a baby loose in the back seat. He's a teenager. I mean, that kid is a danger to society. I mean, the person I think is the worst offenders, the most dangerous offenders are. Can you speak to still going after and keeping the community safe from real dangerous folks? Well, a lot of times, maybe these people on the periphery of these crimes.
So the one case you talked about, the young person who was sent by MTPD to have a number of arrests, was not submitted to our office for over a month. So that young person is in the community. When it was submitted, we charged it. When we get cases from law enforcement that are prosecutable, we prosecute them. So what I would say, the answer to your question is this: I look at certification studies. So if we have a young person who has engaged in some violence and we ask for potential certification, we get a psychological report, we get a study from probation. What strikes me, and I've seen a number of those, and what strikes me is in many of those situations, the young person wasn't in school. The young person was in school. They were as part of child protection. Their family moved from house to house to house. All of the things that are being offered here, I often think if those things had been offered to this young person, they probably wouldn't be here. And that's supported by the data from CISA, the intelligence data from the sheriff's office. That's why I said their data is showing that young people who were involved in risky behavior and car theft in a matter of months are escalating to carjackings, gun crimes, and that kind of thing. So there's no hardened young person who just decides to go out and shoot somebody. It starts when they're young. And if we have these effective interventions early on, they may not be with us. They may not victimize somebody else, which is why, sometimes people say, well, why aren't you focused on accountability? We are. When law enforcement brings us a prosecutable case, that doesn't just mean an arrest, we prosecute it. We hold young people accountable. But that's after the fact. And I'm pretty sure you talk to a number of victims who would tell you, I would rather that the young person not harmed me. That's what this is about. So we use all of our tools. the county attorney's office. We do hold people accountable. When you report that there were a number of arrests or something like that, it's really important to look, if you can, because you can't get access.
That's part of the problem, trying to part like this information you're giving us today. Who are these 95 people we contacted? Like, let me see their rats. Like, you can't do that, or we can't see it. So we're taking your word too from this, in a way.
Well, so what I would tell you is, why do you take law enforcement word? You do. You report law enforcement. So what I would say to all of you, actually, when law enforcement says about a young person who's been arrested many, many times, inquire about that. How many of those cases were actually submitted to the county attorney? Inquire about that. Here, one important thing about this actually is, Sarah mentioned that it's a one-way informational system. And that means that even we don't know which kids are part of services in the county. Child protection, we don't know, or we know because we have child protection, which young people those are, but we can't share that out with you. We can't share it out to law enforcement. We just can't share it out. They're young people. That is the law. But what we can tell you, and a lot of this data comes from behavioral health in the county, that we know that these young people are not being referred to us for prosecutable cases at a rate of 81%.
Amen.
The fact that you don't know who they are is either here or there.
I don't make much of that. What was their connection to X crime? Like, how did these people come to you?
They came to, no, that answer is very simple. They came to us because law enforcement told us about them. All of the people that are referred, all the young people referred come to us from law enforcement.
Amen.
And that goes back to why we started this initiative in the first place.
That's right.
We knew clearance rates are really 4% or so. So of all the cars that are stolen in Minneapolis, 4% of those cases actually get submitted to us at the county attorney's office for potential charging. So and we know there are no reasons for that. Young people wear masks, and all kinds of reasons for that. But knowing that that's the issue, right? I mean, are we here to problem solve? We know that it's a problem that law enforcement can't solve hard up cases. So rather than throw up our hands and say, well, there's nothing we can do, as the office has done in the past, we said to law enforcement, what if we meet with you and your data analysts? And you tell us the names of these young people who are at risk. And we'll run through our database. And I know there's some frustration about we don't name names, but what difference does it make in terms of the law enforcement can't even give us a case, right? They can't give us a case. These aren't prosecutable cases. So this is something that allows law enforcement to share with us the young people that they suspect or they know. They may see running away from a car, but they just can't send us a prosecutable case. So this information comes from law enforcement.
Mary, that
Yep.
number that you mentioned in clearance rate. So I want to make sure I have it crystal clear. Their doctors at an average, like 4% of cases are solved by MPD.
It's not MPD. MPDs are actually a little lower than that. So just to be clear, this data, as it says, comes from the BCA. No, the BCA. So the BCA state agency requires individual law enforcement agencies to report their data. So everything that you see here is from individual law enforcement. This particular graphic talks about motor vehicle thefts and clearance, Hennepin County. So the 3.7 is across Hennepin County. Minneapolis, I think, is about 2%.
What I want to be clear on these cases or it's not the same case. That's what you can charge.
Yes. Yeah, so the 4% and 2% are the cases that come to us for charging. The rest of those cases never hit our desk. And understand too that the youth might have been arrested. That happens frequently. A youth may be arrested and held at the juvenile detention center, but if a case isn't submitted to us, by law that child is released. We have no control over that.
I'm just curious how for how do we say this program is successful? I know you mentioned earlier that you can't determine how many.
A lot of people tell us, you finally explained trading to me in a way I could understand. Then they start seeing profits. The reason behind this is simple. We're
Stealing the cars are youth and how many are adults. I'm just curious if you could speak to how direct the success of this program is to defining in car theft and what other factors maybe they're testifying.
Yeah, to explain why crime declines, we rely upon criminologists years from now. But they would say there are probably several factors. What we do know for sure, car theft has gone down dramatically.
And are you saying that's because of this program?
We believe it is
Yes,
in
it
part
is.
because of the program.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Rates have remained about the same. So we're not getting any more cases from law enforcement. Auto theft has gone down. And I'm not here saying that this program is responsible for all of that.
I
It
am.
certainly is a piece. And we know
It's a
that
big
these young
piece of it.
people, that
It's a big piece of
81%, we're out there because law enforcement tells us that, engaging in car theft. But those young people are not engaging in car theft, at least to the extent that we get any kind of prosecutable cases.
I was just wondering what factors go into accepting the referral of this program.
So generally, when law enforcement submits a referral to us, our office again is doing a file clearance. So we're checking to see is that child already system involved? Are they on probation? Do they have an open case in the court system already? Are they support and services through a social worker, through child protection, or a truancy referral? So if they're not already open with the county in some way, then they're eligible as long as they are a Hennepin County resident, have close ties to the county, and are under 18.
And Mary, I did want to ask also, just, it seems like it's a big jump. I was hearing that this, I think, compared to 2019 and 2023, was like close to 200% increase in auto thefts, and then this most recent year, I think it's more like 140 or something percent. Does it still seem like there's a long way to go with the work to reduce that number and to maybe get to pre-pandemic levels?
Yeah, I mean, we know that crime went down since its peak after the pandemic, but not to pre-pandemic levels. Car theft was still going up, and so that was an outlier. That's why this is really good news. But I would never say, when we're looking at 9,000 or however many car thefts we have this year, one is too many, right? Nobody should have car stolen. And when a young person is involved in that behavior, it can quickly escalate. So yeah, I mean, we have continued work to do. And on that front, this has been so successful that our law enforcement partners have asked us to expand it beyond car theft. So that should tell you how they feel it's feasible. And we have to work on expanding resources and capacity with Hennepin County. But that's a sign that our law enforcement partners are saying, hey, this is working so well for car thefts. Can you expand it to other types of offenses? Thank you.
Thanks everybody. We will have contact email on the press release if you have questions. I know some of you, and if you can rush to you, thank you.
Yeah, so all this week I'm going to be sharing news conference, press conference that Moriarty has had that is focused on the system, correcting the system, and supporting the community, supporting families, and supporting youth. She's doing such a great job. Me, myself, hey, she's doing an awesome job, and I just like to I'd like to congratulate congratulate her and thank her and all the support and people that she had working with her. Innocent Project, Clara, and the other young lady that was just up there. I just like to thank everyone, everyone who's working with Moriarty to correct the judicial system and to support and help our community, our youth, and our families. And again, like I said, this is such a great thing, and I thank God for her and all the people that's working with her and the support. And you guys, we got to keep her in there. Okay, so that was the call. When I get up, that's because I get a call from a prisoner, and sometimes they call, they don't want it to be heard public because different reasons. Sometimes they do want to be heard. Sometimes they do want their voice to be heard, and sometimes they don't want it to be heard because they have me, probably contacting different people's news reporters or whatever. But when I get up like that, that's because I'm getting a call from a person. Sometimes I'll tell them I'm on a podcast, and they be like, "Oh, let me on the podcast," or I want my voice to be heard. Or sometimes they don't. But thank you guys for joining us today. Again, I just had to bring this to your attention. The great job that our county attorney is doing, and I truly believe she's God sent. We must her in there. I will be campaigning and I will be sharing her press conference with you all this week, probably all the way up to the next term. I'm going to share her press conference because I want you guys to be aware and see what she's doing for community, for our youth, for the judicial system and how she's turning things around for the good. And I'm going to read comments that people leave because you heard what that guy said. And you heard what some other guy replied to him and said that he was a white supremacist. So, you pray for people like that. If you do have people that are not available in Mary Moriarty helping the Black community and correcting the judicial system for being racist and doing harm, to the lower income, to the Black community. So people who are against it, you pray for them. You pray for them. You don't give into their madness. You just pray for them. You pray for them. Because myself, I call them idiots. It's in the Bible. People who are dishonest, corrupt, and hateful, the idiots. And an idiot don't know no better. So you pray for them. But yeah, that's what I had to share with you guys today. Join in with me tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to put some of them good old godly words in there, words from the Bible. Words do have power. And again, like I said, prayer changes things. Prayer changes people. Faith open doors. And faith open prison doors too. I like to send a shout out also to Tommy Hawkins, Marvina Marvelous Haynes, and Marvin Haynes. They doing their thing in the community. Kevin Reese. What is it? Until we all free. Again, Tommy, Marvina, and Marvin. I don't know if Marvin working with them or not, but I know Tommy and Marvina, they're working with the wrongfully convicted. And again, Kevin Reese, who's working with the Until We All Free. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Sydney Martin's working with him. So yeah, I send my thank you and congratulations out to everyone who's working and trying to make a change. Love you guys.